Nice. So this one turned out pretty good. Let's go over the elements of the track, each individual element first, and then we'll go over the arrangement and automation to kind of show you how movement and energy is built, which kind of creates that tension and release, which is very important in, I guess, all types of music, but this melodic house genre especially. Build-ups and drops. For the kick, here's how it sounds. Stole it from our boys Sultan Shepard from this part of the track here. Whenever you buy an extended mix, usually there's a good section that you can probably find a fairly isolated kick to take from. Lots of YouTube videos out there that'll show you how to do that. I use the ozone imager technique. Works great. For the main mid bass, we're using Serum, a preset from this melodic house sample pack, freshly squeezed. Pretty much all the sounds that are being used in this track are from this pack. So yeah, scoop it up if you want similar sounds, and they're pretty plug and play, more or less. So yeah, mid bass here, bit of chorus, some compression. 76, this is the first time I've used this on a bass. This entire production session, I just whipped on random compressors, like the 3A on the sub, and yeah, just whatever sounded cool, and I went with it. So this is what, look at that, what, 10 dBs? 20? Sure. And then some decapitator. And then EQ a bit of the highs out. Didn't want that growl. And then the sidechain. Full throttle on the low frequencies down to 117. And then for the second band, it's mixed in at 37%. For the sub, we got another freshly squeezed preset, EQing anything kind of past 120-ish. And then, yeah, a little compressor. And then the side chains right here. And on the bass group, we got this little guy, UAD Pultec EQ. I just bought it pretty much the day I started this track, so I wanted to try it out. A little bit of boosty poos in the 60 hertz, and then I guess in the tutorial I was watching, they like to attenuate kind of similar values, so I tried that and I liked how it sounded, so I went with that. And then our bass doing this together. Really beefs it up. And then this EQ is just notching out some space for the kick at around 50 hertz. Nice warm bass. And then the intro has this Reese bass. Another preset, freshly squeezed. These dudes. EQing the sides a bit, adding a bit more width with chorus, and then automating, which we'll again go over later on. I'll show you all the automation stuff. We got the break bass, sitting with a Diva preset. Yeah, not much going on with this one. Cool, so that's the low end, nothing on the main group here. Very minimal drum track. We got a hat and a snare, and then this little groove that I stole from the original track. I'll show you that in a sec. We'll go back to the hat here. Two samples creating this sound. Saturate them together. And then what's really bringing out the sound is the reverb. short decay. And yeah, this just kind of gives it that live drum sound. And for the reverb, it depends on how you want to do it, but if you're trying to preserve transients or the attack or anything like that, try to use a reverb send or create the effect chain on the processing chain itself. So that way you can still have that pokey transient, but the reverb is still there as well. And then for the second half of this drum part, added another sample and then shifted these suckers back a bit. Oh, nope, this guy's ahead. So it's creating some sort of new kind of tone. Because that's what I was hearing in the original track. So that's what I did. And then for the snare, 3 guys going at it right now. So combined, they're all kind of working together to create kind of one sound. Then we got this reverb that is showing up on the back half of the first drop here. It kind of prolongs the snare hit. A lot more air. Because again, that's how Sultan and Shepard did it. Creates more energy and variation. We got this short guy. And then for the remaining part of the groove, kind of just saw an easy opportunity in the extended mix to snipe that out of it and just add it into our own track. Yeah, a little bit lazy, but that's the way she goes sometimes. And then we got the tom build. Kind of all layers together are creating, kind of covering the highs and the lows and the mids. And then finally we got this nice little drum fill. Which sounds very similar to the original track, but panned differently. I like it. And then yeah, nothing on the drum bus because there wasn't really much going on besides these 2 layers more or less, and they had their own individual processing and they didn't really need anything else. Time to look at the beautiful, pretty sounds of melodic house, starting with the main melody. Again, preset from the same preset pack we've been using. So this audio effect racked is pretty cool. We got this little reverb, 2 reverbs. And then delay. So what this delay is doing is almost like creating a rhythm on top of the existing pattern. So when you hear bum bum bum, instead of bum 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 bum, it's like bum bum ba-dum bum bum. Bum bum ba-dum. So without the delay, you won't. Cool. I'm RC20 to add a bit of like pitch bending, a little bit of wobble, flutter. Makes it sound more analog. CLA 2A compressor. This comes in handy when we start opening up the filter and increasing the gain and whatnot, and keeps the volume from getting too crazy, but you can still feel the energy increase, but the volume doesn't really take over the entire track. Second layer of pretty much the same thing, just slightly different processing and automation, bit of OTT added, fresh air, all this stuff for like more higher frequencies to add more energy as the track's progressing. Same preset, just higher octave. Added this other oscillator. Not doing a whole lot, but it adds a bit of body to the sound. Pretty much the same processing, like I said. Let me show you real quick how key delay and reverb is for certain sounds. So we got our melody here. Beautiful. Oh. Oh. Ah. Then we got this layer that's the kind of, well, you'll recognize it. Comes as each kind of section crescendos. We're using a Diva ARP overdrive. And then what really makes the sound do its thing is the crystallizer under the Beehive preset. On the reverse, make sure it's going reverse if you're trying to copy the Sultan Shepard. Cool. Use the same, more or less, reverb and delay settings, just different values. And yeah, this is this guy. We got this mid harmony. Nice little diva. Bit of saturation. Here it comes. And some side chain. Let's go over the intro pads, and then we'll hit up the little Plucks next. So here I am with the preset that comes from that preset bank I keep talking about. Ba-na, ba-na-na. Some saturation. Nice. And then for this build, we got the pluck going on. You already know what I'm gonna say about the preset. Most of the effects are in the actual preset itself. Ba-na-na, na, na, ba-na-na. We got this tonal texture covering the D and G. It's a contact library, kinetic metal sound. I will show you why it's there. So if we kind of focus on the mids during Sultan and Shepard's beautiful song. You hear like scratchy. So this is what I'm trying to copy with this layer. Not perfect, but yeah, pretty cool. Nonetheless, regardless. So overdriven because it's, you know, very distorted. Lots of EQ just to shape it, and then some chorus to widen it. Then we got some brake pads, not for your car, but for your melodic house song. Same preset as the melody pluck. Just filter down more. I think I have to increase the sustain or something. Distorting it to make it sound that way. Sound that little... Give it the distorted sound. Oh, the whistle. This was a fun experience finding this sound. If I knew anything about sound design, I probably would have just guessed it was sine waves pitched up in a higher octave. But yeah, I just went to splice. Yeah, I went to splice, searched whistle, went to presets, and I found this guy. I was like, wait a second, that sounds pretty much exactly like the Sultan Shepard whistle. Sine waves, baby. The reason why there's two layers is because this guy gets pitched up, kind of goes. So we got this rock in here, pitch bend. Nice delay. And I think it sounds exactly like the track, which is cool. Nice. So then I guess for the rest, or for the final melodic sound, this guy just pops up during the break to transition you smoothly into the build. Tremolator gets automated, but yeah, just a nice little sound. Not exactly how Sultan and Shepard did it. Theirs sounded more like a harder transient, but maybe slightly different rhythm. Not bad though. And then on the full melodic group, we got some imager, giving it some width, of course. Some compressor, not doing anything. I think I was just putting it on there for like safety, almost like a limiter. But also I like running things through the glue compressor because there's some sort of placebo effect that happens where I think it sounds cooler. Bit of OTT, and then Pro Q doing its thing, making sure the sub frequencies aren't poking, getting too crazy or getting by. All right, my time to shine. So we got some vocals that run throughout the track, this drone layer, and then yeah, these extra stuff will go over in a sec. I wonder if it was Ned or Osama making this sound. Yeah, I wonder if that's a sample or that's one of them. Either way, this is me right here. Great. Just great. So all this processing, we'll just take it all off. See what it sounds like. Cool. So we got some saturation on here. Overdrive. The reason for all these overdrives and saturation, because in the original, sounds very, there's like high sizzles. A little sizzle. Hear that sizzle? You can kind of get that with saturation and even erosion, which I use here as well on the main bus layer of the group layer of the two. Hear that high kind of sizzle. Also, Fresh Air is a good plugin for that too. Nice. And yeah, compressed. And then reverb to soften the sound and kind of put it in the background so it's less in your face, because it's pretty annoying if you ask me. Then we got this layer. Getting a lot of drive from the Ultra Boy. Drenched in reverb to send to outer space. Excuse me. And then OTT to enhance everything before it. Same kind of processing with this layer. Sounds like I stepped on a Lego or something. And we got some group processing, compression, delay, overdrive for that extra sizzle. Distortion. Some pumping reverb. And maybe you shouldn't hear how it sounds without the processing, but let's just do it anyways. Sorry. Another similar sound going on over here. So the original sounds like this. And then yours truly. All right, the final elements of our track are the effects. So we got this guy. Only happens once in the track. Not really anything, well, kind of close to the original, but this sound was just a kind of distorted sound. Close enough. Overdriven, saturated, and then echo. And this guy jacked from their track. Used a lot, as you can see throughout the entire track, to almost like signal transition or just sound cool. Love it. air noise fall sounds. Very important. Transition, air noise. The good old sub impact, classic. And then we got some white noise, which maybe you use it a lot, but something we might as well talk about it now before we get into the automation section. But try to automate your noise up, like the volume and whatnot, instead of having it like just a stagnant sound. If you build your sound up as you're kind of progressing to whatever contrast section you're going, it really helps. As you can see, building up, building up, building up, building up. And then for the final drop, I have two of the same white noise layers, but panned left and right. So right now, listen to this first layer. Pretty down the center, more or less. And then we got this two. Just more in your face, more wide. That's just what I was hearing in the Sultan and Shepard version. Really, really intense noise. And there's noise fall for the final drop. OTT, making a big difference. There might be OTT on the actual group too for all the effects. Just a bit of OTT on all the effects as well. Yeah, so not a whole lot of effects, but just enough to add that energy, because white noise or any type of noise is potentially something you might be missing in your tracks if you're not using it. It's definitely needed, I find. Because here, listen to this. So obviously it's obvious when it's gone, but it's not super obvious that it's there, that you notice. All you hear is like a it's not like trance music these days where the white noise is super apparent. This is a bit more subtle. Kept the mastering chain pretty simple, just has a glue compressor and a limiter. The glue compressor is not doing a whole lot, just a slight tickle. And then the limiter. For this project, I was mixing and producing into the limiter with it on the master. So pretty much all the processing was done in the mix. So I didn't think the master really needed anything extra. Sometimes I'll have like, 10 plugins on the master. This time there is 2. So some quick thoughts on arrangement and automation to keep your music interesting. What I think the biggest thing is, first of all, having a solid idea, because this melody was pretty much present throughout the entire track. So in order to keep it interesting, you're gonna have to keep it going with automation and introducing new kind of supporting elements as you progress. And then as you're adding, you get to a point where you add a lot and then you take it away. So for this first drop, for example, we're building all these elements together. The high frequencies are building up. And now it's the low end time to shine. See how it kind of fades away. The spectrum shifts. That's That's contrast, baby. And then as it progresses, it'll start building again. Here come the highs. And then up, up, up. Automation. New elements. And then back to 0. Then we build up, up, up. And since the first drop was build to kind of minimal, the second drop is going to be different, where it builds, 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 and then continues the energy going forward. Bringing in the low end. So the biggest automation things are going to be your filter cutoff on your actual synth itself. So that compared to this, then it builds up. So that's an obvious automation technique that's really effective. I like to use auto filters too on the actual processing chain. Helps balance it out easier than just relying on the synths filter cutoff. And then another big thing is just gain automation. So every track pretty much has some sort of gain automation in this project. See all these utilities going up and up and up and down, up and down, up and down. And that just kind of helps you weave in certain sounds naturally. Instead of having them come in abruptly or leaving so soon, just use some gain automation. Gain automation here. And I mentioned this earlier with the noise being automated up to build the energy. And final thing I'll talk about is this Valhalla Supermassive Reverb Send. I used this in my other video when I was showing the breakdown of Shingu Nakamura, his track. So I have it automated on the Melodic group to kind of go along with the energy build. So builds up, goes back down, builds up. Now I'll let you hear what it sounds like. Kind of just acting as a wash, like a reverb wash. And it fades out. Let's see if you can notice it in the build up here. If I take it away. So yeah, a lot of energy just from this one kind of technique of using a reverb send. And then I would also mention building up to your bass drops. Take away the bass before you introduce the massive sub and whatnot. So on the master, I have an auto filter, just slowly taking away the low end before it gets. Here, see if you can hear it. Might need headphones. That'll sound nice. Yeah, both drops, taking away the low end and then bringing it back. So that's a big thing for contrast. Taking away and giving it back. Awesome. So this one was very fun to make. I think it turned out pretty good. If you want to grab the project file, I will link it below for you to snag up, and then you can, use all the sounds for your own music. Study the automation and energy buildups, and then, yeah, if you want a nice warm bass already made for you, there you go. So yeah, you can grab it below, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Wow.